everyone, my name is Phansar Kongjin. My ID number is 124. I am in English major. Here, I participate English major work really at the university and is what enjoyable. When is the time, I is subject and verb is participate and object is English major work really. So the vocabulary is participate is suffix and enjoyable is suffix. And the next is during the New Year celebration, my family and I visit Wat Pa Khamchano to make a wish. So the time is during the New Year celebration, and my family and I is subject and verb is visit, and objective and object is Wat Pa Khamchano. So the vocabulary is celebration is suffix and family. And next is during the semester break, I joined an international camp in the Philippines, and it was a truly challenging experience. During the semester break is the time I is subject, verb is joys, and an international camp is object. And the vocabulary is semester is prefix semi, and joy is suffix. And next is last week I went to a cafe with my friend and the atmosphere was relaxing. So last week is the time and I is subject when is verb. To the cafe is the object. So the vocabulary is relaxing is suffix and friends. And so next is before returning to Thailand, my student in the Philippines gave me a goodbye warm and I miss them deeply. So when is before returning to Thailand, my student in the Philippines is subject and verb it gave, and the goodbye warm is object. So the vocabulary is student is suffix and deeply is suffix too. And next is when I did my teaching observation last year, I taught my student how to make homemade hamburger in English card. So the first this is how to is the time, and I is subject and verb is chose. My student is object. So the vocabulary is observation is suffix and hamburger is also suffix. And next is last December, I attended a scout camp at Udon Thani Scout Camp. It was unforgettable, and I gained meaningful friendship. Last December is the time I is subject, verb is attend, and a scout camp is object. So the vocabulary is attend is suffix and scout. And next is last year I joined an English camp at Ban Na Nam Shum School to provide educational support for underprivileged students. Last year is the time to tell when, and I is subject, joy is verb, and an English camp is object. So the vocabulary is support, and English is suffix. And went during the New Year celebration, my boss and my part-time colleagues celebrate together as Sukiti Noi. During the New Year celebration is the time to tell when, and my boss and my part-time colleagues is subject, and celebrate together is verb, and Sukiti Noi is object. And for the vocabulary is colleges is suffix and together. And next is last month my friend and I attend an educational research presentation by first year student at University Rajabhat Udon Thani. Last month is when and my friend and I is subject, attend is verb, and an educational research presentation is object. So the vocabulary is colleges, เพื่อน and together is mean ด้วยกัน and next is in January my friend and I took an unforgettable trip to Leh and it was extremely fun. In January is when my friend and I is subject and verb it took an unforgettable trip to Leh is object. So the vocabulary is extremely is suffix and fun. And next is after school last month, my friend and I happily went to cafe together to relax. So after school last month is the time and my friend and I is subject. Happily when is verb and to the cafe is object. So the vocabulary is happily is suffix and after. And during the semester break, I enrolled in intensive English course at Udon Thani Rajabhat University before going to the Philippines. During the semester break is when I is subject, enrolled is verb, and intensive is object. So the vocabulary is enroll is prefix and going is suffix. And next is last month I made tom yum goong for the first time and let my international friend try it and they said it was delicious. Last month is when I is subject and verb is made and tom yum goong is object. So the vocabulary is delicious is suffix and first. And next is during the semester break, I went to a Filipino restaurant with my friend and tried Filipino food for the first time. During the semester break is when I is subject, when is verb, and a Filipino restaurant is object. So the vocabulary is Filipino is suffix and restaurant is suffix too. And next is during the New Year holiday, I returned home and made merit at the temple with my grandma. During the New Year holiday is when I is subject, returned is verb, and home is object. So the vocabulary is holiday and mother, grandmother. And next is last week I took my co-teaching exam at the university and I was extremely nervous but everything turned out successfully. When is last year, subject is I, took is verb and my co-teaching exam is object. And so the vocabulary is nervous is suffix and teaching. And next is when I went last week, I went to Chinatown to celebrate Chinese New Year and bought home a delicious food. Last week is when I is subject, when is verb, to Chinatown is object. For the vocabulary, Chinese is suffix and home. During Christmas, I went home to celebrate with my high school friends because we didn't see each other for a long time. During Christmas is when I is subject, when is verb, and home is object. And because it's tell why. So the vocabulary is during is suffix and Christmas. And the last one is last week I present my educational research at the university and I was very nervous, but everything went wonderfully well. Last week is when I is subject, present it verb, and my educational research is object. So the vocabulary is percentage is suffix and research is prefix. This is all for my presentation. Thank you so much for listening.